Namaste and welcome to the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia podcast. Peer review is the cornerstone of scientific publishing, yet it often remains one of the least understood aspects of the research process. In today's episode, we bring together experienced reviewers of the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia, along with the journal's editorial leadership, to explore what goes on into producing a high quality peer review, how reviewers add value to the manuscripts, and how the peer review process can become more efficient, constructive, and rewarding for everyone involved. Along the way, we'll also share practical insights that will benefit authors, aspiring peer reviewers, readers, and anyone curious about how the peer review process works behind the scenes. So, without further ado, I invite the moderator of today's podcast, Dr. Milan V. Mitragotri, to begin by introducing our distinguished guests.
Good evening, everyone. Peer review is much more than deciding whether a paper should be accepted or rejected. It is about improving science. Peer reviewing, I feel, is like giving the final touches to a beautiful canvas which the authors have made while preparing any particular manuscript. Today, we are here to discuss about this process. We welcome the IGA Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Madhuri Kudi ma'am, and Dr. Sukhminderjeet Singh Bajwa sir, who is the Executive Editor to this podcast. Today, we will have a very open discussion with the experts and experienced reviewers, which have been handpicked by the editors themselves, who will be sharing their insights. I now request Dr. Madhuri ma'am to kindly introduce and welcome the reviewers of this podcast.
Thank you, Milan. Good evening to everybody, and welcome to yet another podcast of the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia. And today's topic is very important to publications, namely peer review. And to do this, I welcome 4 guests to our to the session today. We have with us Dr. Prasanna Vadhanan, who is Professor and Head of the Department of Anaesthesia, Vinayaka Mission Medical College, Karaikal. Welcome, sir. We have with us Dr. Neeru Sahani, Additional Professor, Department of Anaesthesia, PGI Chandigarh. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yet another prolific reviewer of IJA, Dr. Anil Kumar, MR, Professor of Anaesthesia, JSS Medical College, Mysore. Welcome, Dr. Anil. Then we have Dr. Railin Dias, Associate Professor, Department of Anaesthesia, St. GS Medical College and KM Hospital, Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Railin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So with this, I hand over back to the host, Dr. Milan, to take over, and let's have a nice discussion on peer reviewing, what is peer reviewing, and solve all the doubts about peer reviewing, what the general authors think about peer reviewers, what exactly peer reviewers do, what are their secrets, and how they help editors and how they trouble authors and so many things and so on. So let's go back to the host, Dr. Milan.
That's indeed an esteemed list of reviewers we have today here, ma'am. So my first question is to Dr. Anil Kumar Yama, sir. Sir, when you receive any particular manuscript for review from IJ, what is the first thing that you look for before reading it in detail? Do you, at the first instance, look at the abstract or go through the methodology or the novelty of the particular research paper in hand?
Thank you, Dr. Milan, for the question. Before reading the manuscript in detail, I, or for that matter, any reviewer, experienced reviewer, usually they do what is called as a rapid triaging, where with the intent or the goal to determine whether the given manuscript is worth of in-depth scientific review and whether it has a potential to contribute any meaningful to the existing literature. So my view is always I look at whether something new or the novelty is there, whether the given study is a clinical importance that is adding anything new to the existing literature. Is the research worth clinically relevant for that given description? Has a question already been answered? Does it address any important in the knowledge or the gap? Does this results of this particular study has gotten any potential to inform the clinical aspects or the guideline, or does it give add to any future research? These are the things I always look into it. And always the first is a novelty and the clinical importance. Then I will look into abstract. The distinction what we should make is between the scientific validity and a publication value is one of the most important judgment. As a reviewer, I make it.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, considering the multitude of research articles coming up, the novelty and the clinical relevance of the particular article plays a major role. Uh, my next question is to Dr. Neeru Sahani, ma'am. Ma'am, as Anil Kumar sir says, goes through the novelty of the research questionnaire. So, after that, what do you have a particular, does any particular reviewer have a particular checklist that they follow while reviewing, especially an original research article when it is come to? What are the particular silent features they look into before going ahead with the reviewing the article?
So yes, Dr. Milan, I totally agree with Anil Kumar sir, because the importance as well as originality of the topic is of extreme importance. We should know what is currently available literature on this clinical problem and what the study is going to add. It should not just be a replica of any previously published literature, whether it is in national or international literature. So, for if you ask me my personal checklist, I think most of the reviewers will have a certain checklist to follow. Basically the study should be compliant with the reporting guidelines. If it is an original article, whether the author has followed the consort guidelines or whether the author has followed the STROBE checklist, because that checklist and guidelines from the Equator Network, that is our basic guide. So step by step, we can go from methodology. If the study design for the particular clinical question, the study design they are using is appropriate or not. Then everything which comes in methodology, what is their primary outcome, what is their secondary, the PICOTS format, what is the population, intervention, comparator. So, the manuscript should be able to give answer to all these very, very objective points. Then coming to results, whether the results are clearly stated, appropriate tables and figures are available. And the important thing here is that most of the time, the publications, they fumble in sample size calculation. So that has to be very, very explicitly detailed. It should be reported like in great detail. Like if I am told that this is the way the sample size has been calculated, I should be able to use the same method and get to the same number what the authors have achieved. I think that is one very important aspect when we come to results. And then in the discussion, the authors should not overemphasize only the statistically significant results. They should also look whether this 2-second improvement in doing certain procedure, or time to put central line, if it is taking 8 seconds less by using a different technique, whether 8 seconds is actually going to matter us in the clinical practice. So they should not just overemphasize their results. I think these are the basic things. So the overall quality will be judged based on how compliant the manuscript is with the reporting guidelines.
Thank you, Neil Sani, ma'am. Indeed, what checklist they follow, that is the stroke checklist and consort checklist, these are definitely helping us, peer reviewers also, whether they are helping us to assess the article. On the same line, sir, we have our esteemed editors. Uh, just like we have instructions to authors, Bajo sir, can you say that is there any particular check instructions which are given to peer reviewers before they are asked to sort to review the article? Uh, uh, Bajo sir, your thoughts, sir?
Uh, to be very honest, See, many times we have reviewers in our journal who are very senior to the editors also, a lot of experience, and every reviewer has their own flavor, their own clinical knowledge, skills, everything. So when they are reviewing the manuscript, it is from different angles. It's not just, I think, there is a structured review. Okay, those are basic steps. When you are reviewing a manuscript, you start from the abstract to the introduction to the methodology. The emerald pattern you have to see properly. But I've seen many reviewers, they are bringing so many good points from the introduction, where I think we are talking about the background, the need of the study, so many things, so many comments they make at that time. It makes even editor very well educated. So I can say many reviewers are teacher of editors also. This is a fact. And most importantly, how the reviewers grow, how the reviewer should be doing, because once the manuscript is reviewed, when it comes for re-review, one reviewer is able to see the comments of other reviewer also. You learn from the how the other reviewers have done the review. That makes you so wise. I think that's how I grew up in the world of academics and publication and research and reviews. Right from 2008 onwards, when I was seeing the other people reviewing the manuscript, it made me so, overwhelmed with the feeling that this is a huge sea. You have to learn from everyone. And even today also, when we see the reviews, we see that this much knowledge we were not having, they are teaching it one way or the other. If you ask me any a particular plan for review, a particular structure for review, I think it will be impossible to make. But the certain guidelines are there when we say consort or stop or whatever guidelines are there. So we stick to those things. We stick to some principles like some technical instructions are there. The editor has to see it, but the reviewer will see the novelty, that is a must. Then he must be able to see the methodology section, the research design, the methodology, the randomization, the blinding pattern, the statistical analysis. If a reviewer is good in stats, I think nothing more than that. He or she will be an asset to the journal. And similarly, what Dr. Neeru was saying about the results, not overemphasizing about the results in the results sections also, if you go, just start with the basic results right from the beginning, whatever you have described in the methodology section. Reviewer has to see those things. If a reviewer say that your results are not synchronized with the methodology, I think he is the best reviewer. That means he is reviewing the manuscript in a very, very meticulous manner. In the references part, though, I think even editor, reviewer, anybody can see. So overall, I say every reviewer has got its own flavor of academics. Plus, if you add the basic plus and another advanced reviews from any reviewer, that is a boon for our journal. And I think the journal grows like that only with the help of journal actually really grows with the help of reviewers. I think I place the number one in the growth of the journal. Chief editor is as good as the reviewers are. Final statement from me on that front.
Thank you, sir. That was a lovely point you put forward that peer reviewers are the backbone of the journal. Along with that, what I really liked what you meant by saying that peer reviewing itself is a learning process. You grow by peer reviewing. That's really a additional point which I can note down. Uh, my next question is to Dr. Raylene D'Souza. Sorry, Dr. Raylene Dias. In your experience, ma'am, what are the common mistakes that authors repeatedly make that delay publication in their initial submission? Are are these mostly methodological issues, or whether they are doing some reporting deficiencies, or there is problems with interpretation of results? What do you feel are the common mistakes?
Oh, very interesting question. And I think there are two ways in which I would probably look at this. So, maybe methodological flaws, I would say, are more important because if there is something wrong there, then there is no way in which, that is like a bottleneck. The article is going to get filtered there itself, it's going to get downright rejected. But having said that, I think that authors who are submitting nowadays, I've seen that there are very less methodological flaws because people are more careful and they are more, educated now. But I'm finding a lot of reporting errors probably that are still coming in. So let's say, for example, like Madam said, they probably are not following the reporting guidelines properly, or they haven't done the checklist before submitting the article. So they need to see that those checklists are important, because is this going to be understood by what you are reporting? Are readers going to understand that? And are is this going to be reproducible for future researchers? Can they take your data and reproduce that? So reporting has to include all those things, where people can make use of it, and even if somebody wants to do a meta-analysis later, they should be able to include this study. Also, I find a lot of maybe sometimes they skip some critical things, like let's say, for example, if they are comparing an Armitage regimen, or to see the length of the spread of a caudal block. So they are comparing maybe 1.25 ml versus zero point 0.5 ml, how whether it is really spreading that high to thoracic. But then they're not giving critical information in the reporting. They're not telling you how what was the speed of injection of the drug, or basic, very important things are being missed, or how fast was the patient made supine after injection. So those critical elements are missing. Sometimes, this has happened many times. You find inconsistency in the abstract part and in what is given in the text. So I don't know why this keeps happening. Probably, I don't know. I think maybe somebody else is doing the abstract, and somebody else is, and it's not being checked. So I can understand the printer's devil, just one number here or there. But sometimes there are completely different numbers are given in the results in the abstract, and when you read down, you find something else. So those are things I think that authors need to check, because otherwise we at our levels are, left to check all that. So otherwise, maybe in interpretation, not so much, because again, there people are careful on how they interpret their results. But you do find studies like, let's say, for example, somebody is saying that okay, they did a study on a drug in a single tertiary care centers, let's say in India, and then in the conclusion they're mentioning that this so our study gives the gap in procuring this drug in the Southeast Asian region. So has your study really tested that? Your study is only on one center. So people still, they tend to give these kind of statements, and I think we need to be more careful there. So otherwise, I think methodology is something that's going to give you a downright rejection, but I think reporting may be communist now.
Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, IJ itself provides a checklist, and if they follow the checklist, I think they should be able to avoid these kind of mistakes happening from them. So at the end, what matters, as per what you said, is that the article, whichever has been sent, it should be readable by the main purpose is that the readers end up reading it, and it is understood to them, and the results are reproducible. And mostly the errors are from the reporting side, how they report the results. So my next question is to Dr. Prasanna, sir. Sir, how do you distinguish between a manuscript that deserves major revision or one that is meant to be rejected? Why do sometimes there is also an option where the reviewers are given a chance that they can decline to review? So when do you decide that this is not the article which I'm deemed to review? And what is the challenges that you face as a reviewer?
Regarding your first question, the first thing I would like to look in a research is whether it passes the question, so what? The aim and objective of the study should satisfy some purpose, how it is going to change the practice or how it is going to add to the existing literature. That's number one. The number two, regarding a major revision, the most common mistake I find is just like the Dr. told, it is methodology. Once the methodology has been formatted, it has to be followed rigorously. So you cannot change the methodology. So suppose the methodology itself has a huge flaw, the article would be downright rejected. Because you cannot change the methodology, because study has already been done, you already have your results. And if the methodology has these four flaws, I call it the four horsemen of good research. That is the rigor, validity, bias, and applicability. So if the methodology does not solve satisfy all these four questions, then I think the study does not merit a publication. You can change the discussion. I can find some errors in the discussion. The results might have been interpreted in a wrong way. Those can be changed in the discussion. But if the methodology is not good, then there is no turning back. So that will decide whether the article is going to get rejected or is it possible to do a revision on that. I hope that answers your question.
Sir, with regards to when do you decline to review, sir? Is there
Yeah.
any time when you end up declining to review, sir?
Usually what happens sometimes the topic might not come under my field of expertise because sometimes I consider myself not that much acquainted with the topic to give my comment. So that is a most common reason, one of the first reason. The second reason, as I previously told, is the study question should satisfy the so what question. So suppose I am saying, does tramadol provide better postoperative analgesia than paracetamol? So what? So the study objective should satisfy the so what question. It should pass the test. So if it is not passing, it is not adding anything meaningful to the existing literature, or it is just reinventing the wheel. Usually, I'll just read the abstract, and sometimes I reject it straight away or decline to review it.
Milan,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add further. See, declining the review, sometimes a person may be reviewing many manuscripts, and suddenly you are dependent upon that reviewer. You send that article because you are so much dependent on that reviewer that this person, when review it will matter for the acceptance or rejection. Now, that reviewer may have some marriage in his family, or his own or her own marriage, some death in their family, or some maybe on a vacation going outside. So there comes the role of a reviewer conduct actually. So I will also like to suggest Dr. Madhuri that we should have one particular set of template where when a reviewer doesn't want to review because of certain reasons, at least we can jot down 10 to 12 reasons that I am not available because of these reasons. As Dr. Prasanna sir said, because of his inability to review because of the flaws in the manuscript itself, but there may be some other social, psychological, clinical, societal, so many circumstances are there. So we have to have a template, or we can also actually it does like that. When we reject, we have to give a reason for that. That comes under the reviewer's conduct. So those things also should be kept in mind. A person is in a depression, on a medication, or undergone a surgery, is continuously denying a review. We should not take it as an offensive. It should be actually either explained by the reviewer itself, or we should also understand that let us give some time to that. But when we have multiple editors, they will not know that that person is why is not reviewing. Suppose myself giving, Dr. Neeru is also giving, Dr. Madhuri is also giving to those reviewers, and that will create some, that reviewer will get fed up and he will stop reviewing at all for the journal. This has also happened multiple times. So these are the other reasons of declining the review. So I think we should be a little careful on that aspect also. Madam Madhuri.
Yeah.
Madhuri, madam?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir. Very well said. So, in the manuscript management system, the reviewer panel, which is there, in the panel there is an option where the reviewer can mark his or her unavailability in a particular period. So you can mark over there that I'm not available in this particular period. Say you're going for a trip or you have some function in your family, you can mark over there. But before you go for that, you should have finished all your allotted work. Now, once a manuscript is sent to you for review, it will be there for several weeks in your panel. So you have got a period wherein you can finish your work. Now, if you leave your allotted manuscripts and go on your holiday, in that particular period, you will not be allotted any manuscript, but the previous ones will still be left. So, reviewers have to keep that in mind. And many a times when the reviewers do not attend to the manuscripts, what happens? The cycle, the submission, decision, period goes on and on increasing, and that makes the authors very anxious and makes them disturbed. So
And
this is
general
very
performance
important.
also, Dr. Mahathir, general performance also is
Yes,
being
and the
factored by
journal
it.
performance is measured by this. So that also goes down. So, and one more question you asked me, na, sir, regarding the reviewers. See, it is as sir said, some of the reviewers will be excellent, will be doing excellent work, but it is up to the editors to take care of the reviewers. This is my personal opinion. Ki the reviewers, editors, and authors are like a family, and the editors cannot burden some reviewers with so many manuscripts. Now, especially for a journal like IJA, there are no submission fees, no publication fees, and the reviewers and editors are working extra time and doing this work. So it should never be that the reviewers are overburdened. So all editors have to take care of their reviewers. A good editor will send some manuscripts to the reviewer, give him or her some time to recover from that, and then send one more manuscript like that. Then only, the quality of reviewing will be good. But if you go on sending them one article after the other for review before they can recover from the previous review, then obviously the quality of reviews will go down. But as Bajwa sir said, there is not one editor. There are so many editors who are sending to the reviewer. So if there is a good reviewer, he or she will be targeted by all the editors. That's the favorite reviewer. These are all favorite reviewers. So it is likely that good reviewers get overburdened and then they start declining manuscripts and all. So we have to give them some time to recover, maybe a holiday, and then they will be back to work again.
Indeed, ma'am. These reviewers, as Majwa sir and you mentioned, the reviewers undergo a lot of challenges, as we have seen. So, there is one more challenge which I would like to discuss, and for that, I request this question to be answered by Dr. Neeru Sahni, ma'am. Ma'am, many manuscripts are received which undergo multiple rounds of review. From the reviewer's perspective, why do you feel it happens? What can be done from the author's end as well as from the reviewer's end that can prevent this research work undergoing this vicious cycle again and again,
So,
madam?
yes, Dr. Milan, you are right in telling that many manuscripts they keep on undergoing multiple rounds of review, and I think the most important reason for this is that the authors do not resolve the important issues in one go. So, if the important issues remain unresolved after the initial revision, then the reviewer definitely will have to send it again. So from my side, I think that the authors can do a basic checklist that the all the reviewers comment have to be answered, and they should give a detailed point by point explanation for the same. At the same time, I think it would be a good idea that the authors themselves do a quick internal review of what they are resubmitting, especially when they are resubmitting, they are revising and submitting the manuscript. They should themselves just do a quick checklist or just quickly internally review, because there are 3 4 authors for each paper. So I think if that group decides that they are going to make it meticulous, it will these multiple rounds will not happen. And another important thing is that the author does have a right to even disagree to what the reviewer is suggesting. They may not be wanting to answer a comment, or they think that this is not relevant to the manuscript. That is very fine, but they should be able to scientifically justify it. They should not just exclude that reviewer comment while answering, because then the reviewer feels that this comment remains unanswered. Then reviewer sends back the second revision. So if they don't want to answer something, they should just scientifically explain it and move ahead. So that is the basic reason why multiple revisions happen. And I think there could be some issues from the reviewer side also. the reviewers should also, whatever comments we have to make, whether it is about methodology, stats, or reporting, we should do all of that in one go. It's not that we just send something for a revision of statistical analysis, sample size calculation, and when the authors get back, then we start looking at ki, arisme to result, maybe there is an issue and discussion also needs to be changed. So I think the full document of peer review should be sent to the authors, and they should also internally review themselves before resubmitting. Because all in all, this peer review process is not for delaying the publications. It is to maintain the quality and transparency of the evidence which we are going to publish. So all in all, I think it's a responsibility of both the authors as well as the reviewers. And this multiple rounds can definitely be avoided by following these simple things.
Dr. Milan, shall I add to that further?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Neeru Sani said rightly about the reviewers and author interactions here, about the revisions. But over the last 18 to 20 years, what I've seen is the authors deliberately don't want to answer the reviewers' comment. The reason being, they are very true comments, very honest comments, and authors haven't done those things in their study. They just want to avoid that gunshots moving to this side, moving to this side, and so that they should not be hit on the target. The reviewers are right on the target, and they think that in the next round of revision, this question will not be asked. That's why the reviewers get fed up. That I am pointing out certain important points. The authors are deliberately avoiding those gunshots. So the answer to that is, multiple revisions will definitely take place for that. But here comes the role of the editor also, who is handling the manuscript. When the editor see the conduct of the author on that front, that they are not deliberately answering the reviewer's question, they have to support the reviewer here. That is very, very important. A reviewer has spent so much of precious time in reviewing the manuscript. A reader may not be having that much time to review because a reader has got so multiple manuscripts, a reviewer has got 2, 3 manuscripts. But they spend so much precious time. And I rate reviewers are as good as editors. They are just a nomenclature. Nomenclature is of reviewer or editor. They are one and the same thing. So whatever the reviewer has asked, that is very, very important. If author is deliberately hiding, you will come to know from the way of answering of the authors that why they are avoiding, because they have not done, as Sanavadan sir said, methodology cannot be changed. You cannot reverse the methodology. Methodology has to be same. Even the discussion or result section, they are also dependent on the methodology. So they deliberately want to avoid those things. That is the one way, that's the one reason, main reason, multiple reviews. Multiple reviews, multiple revisions. So this is from my experience side as editor.
Sir, in your experience, is there a way to stop this, or if this is going repeatedly, do at an editor's
One sentence. If the reviewer comments are not addressed appropriately to the point on the basis of the merit of the comments, we are afraid that your manuscript will be rejected. Simple one sentence, because when you cover this sentence, it is just like a medical legal opinion taken, consent taken, implied consent taken. If you are not going to do it, it will be rejected. I think we are going to give respect to the reviewers, their time, their energy, their sincerity, as well as the dignity of the journal also. That's one sentence.
So, as Sir said, Bajwa Sir and Neeru Sahni ma'am said, so peer reviewing, they welcome that the questions are completely answered. Questions, if they are unanswered or remain partially answered, are this leads to multiple uh, peer reviewing. Madhuri ma'am, you have a opinion?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that now when the firing is going on from both sides, one from the author's side and the other from the reviewer's side, the editor is in the center, the handing editor. So when you have a good reviewer on one side and a good author on the other side, it's really very interesting to see what goes on between the two. Okay, the remarks coming, the comments going and coming. So, but an intelligent and responsible editor will also intervene at the right time. It cannot be that the revision cycle goes on and on and on, because unnecessarily the decision will be prolonged. Okay. So at one moment, the editor has to take a decision to stop the shelling that is going on. And because the editor is also a good reviewer, he or she has to go through the article and take a decision in time. Got it? So the editor is standing in between the reviewer and the authors, something like that.
Yes, ma'am. Rightly. So my next question is to Dr. Anil Kumar, sir. Sir, how detailed should be a reviewer comments to the articles sent to them for reviewing? And what do you feel that the reviewer feedback makes it truly constructive rather than uh, and at the same time not demotivate the authors?
To answer this and to continue with what Dr. Neeru Sani and Dr. Paj was talking about, we need to understand the purpose of peer reviewing is not to demonstrate my or the reviewer's expertise, but editors make an informed decision and to help the authors improve their manuscript. That should be the intent. So reviewers' comment should neither be too brief or too sort of a lengthier one, not too much of detail. For example, if I quote, the study is poorly designed and rejected, unquote, this provides a very little value to both the author as well as to the editor. And to the other end, detailing like line by line editing grammar, rewriting the entire sections, when the manuscript itself has got a fundamental flaw, as already described by the previous the panelist, this can obscure the scientific issues. So a good review, it typically should summarize the manuscript in 1 or 2 sentences, which confirm our understanding, that is the reviewer's understanding, and identify the major strength, list a major concerns, usually about 2 to 3 major concerns in that, and note a minor comments, probably a little clarification requiring the wording, the frequency, or the references. And always the last point should end with an overall assessment for the editor. So there are 2 things we are writing, one section to the editor, one to the authors. So summarizing this, a constructive feedback to answer your second part of the question is a one which is very specific, which is evidence-based, and which is actionable. The more important is an actionable. We write some review which cannot be actionable by the author. It doesn't make any sense. If they cannot change it, it cannot represent our remarks, then it doesn't make any sense. So the review comments what we give should be specific, should explain why an issue matters in the whatever the question you're asking or the clarification you're asking. It also, if possible, should offer solutions when possible. For example, rather than writing the discussion is weak, write how to strengthen it in that particular manuscript. And then reviewer should be able to distinguish a major and a minor issues. The minor issues, something like the grammar, typo error, they're all minor issues, which most of the time the editorial will take care. And our remarks should be balanced one. It should acknowledge both the strength and the weakness. And always our support should be constructive and it should have a scientific reasoning. Whenever we write some criticism, should always be backed with scientific reasoning. So these are my thoughts in while making a good review or a constructive reviewing.
That's a really excellent input, sir, to the especially to the authors when they receive the comments, they definitely get an actionable direction in which the reviewer has given comments, and accordingly they can bring about changes in their article. So, my next question is to Dr. Railing Dias, ma'am. Ma'am, statistics, as we all know, is often intimidating to both reviewers as well as authors, and sometimes even to the readers as well who go through the article. So, as readers, what statistical aspects do you routinely check, and when do you recommend a dedicated statistical review, ma'am?
Yeah, I think statistics is like we were all designed to be anesthetists, right? We were never designed to be statisticians. So I think that is, yeah, something which I think most reviewers are. And like Bajwa sir said, someone who's really good in statistics is a great asset to the journal. So I think most of us, we start off with checking the basic thing, and that is, the primary outcome. And how have they defined that? Have the authors defined it properly? And have they chosen a single primary outcome? Because then only you can go forward and check the sample size, whether that has been calculated properly. The study has been well powered. You cannot have a very small sample size, because what is the point then in doing the entire study? And on the other hand, sometimes some authors, they will say, we used convenience sampling. So convenience sampling is just based on, probably your workload, but it may be too much, and you're subjecting too many patients to, the study methodology. That is also not correct. So that, I think those are the first two things that most of us check. And I think then I would probably go on to check, the data, whether it is normally distributed or whether it is skewed, because that is going to again determine the kind of tests that are used. So if the data is skewed, have they used parametric or non-parametric tests? Have they used that correctly, appropriately? So I think it's very important to include your statistician from the beginning, because we don't even expect that anesthesiologists should know the, nitty-gritty details of this, but you can always take help. And it's always better to, the first thing, right, that we do as anesthesiologists, we call for help. So ask for a good statistician to help you from the beginning. So I think as far as test selection also, like let's say they're studying milrinone, let's say 3 doses of milrinone. So sometimes, the low dose, medium dose, and the high dose, and what is good or what is enough. So sometimes they will use a paired t test, and actually that is not correct. When you're, three things or two things, if you're comparing, you should probably use ANOVA there. ANOVA would be the best. So those kind of things also we have to look into. Have they done the correct statistical tests for, for what they want to measure? And next, I think, would come how they have handled the biases, how they have eliminated bias, basically. So let's say, for example, if they are blinding, so say ketofol and, etofol. So how did they prepare that? And, was that done correctly? Or have they done the allocation concealment correctly? And, all of those things for that, for blinding. Then I think probably a lot of authors, they will just report standard deviation or standard error, but are the confidence intervals mentioned? Because that is very important if somebody wants to use your study tomorrow to to do some further, if they need data from your study, they would need the confidence intervals. And readers need to know, they need to properly understand your results. So details have to be there, we cannot skip that. Otherwise, I think sometimes maybe incomplete reporting of results, maybe that is a problem sometimes. And maybe sometimes non-significant results, like are, people don't want to report it. That is also important. You have to let us know everything that you have found. So I think that is what I routinely check.
Milan, shall I add
Yes,
further?
yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Sir, I have one more query to you also, sir. Sir, along with what your inputs, I would like to know that when do you send it for a statistical review? Like, or do all the articles go through the statistician, or how is it, sir?
Yeah, actually, I think Dr. Elaine, she really did a very wonderful job about the groups, two group, three groups, how to put a test. You know, we have got a Bible of anesthesia, that is Miller. If you look at the seventh edition rather, and the 10th edition, today I was reading the 10th edition. There were two chapters now. Previously, there was one chapter in 7th edition. How they used to do the test, there was a comparative table, very beautifully elaborated by Miller in a very concise form. When I was going through the 10th edition, there was a table was missing. The statistical tests are missing. That means the anesthesiologists throughout the globe, they don't require statistical tests. If a Bible of anesthesia is missing the statistical test, that's what Dr. Ellen said. We are anesthetists. We are born anesthetists. We are not born statisticians. So if the Bible is missing the statistical test, how we should be knowing, or we have to do some out of the way work to know these tests, when to apply, with the variance, with the unequal tables, with so many population variation, ANOVA, BINOVA, LNOVA, then pair T test, so many tests, Fisher, so many tests are there. Everywhere we have to put the test. That category has to be defined. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for a teacher actually. Not for the students. I'm not saying students. Students are 3 years. You put anything in their brain, they will imbibe. It's the teachers who have to know these things. The especially the postgraduate teachers from associate professor onwards. They should know all the tests. That's why the workshops were started by ISA in 2015, 2nd October 2015. The first workshop of research methodology publication was started. Idea was to educate the teachers, not the students. Students are always going to depend upon teachers. When the teachers are not knowing how to put a test, what type of topics they are going to give, what type of stats they are going to use, there is no use in teaching the students on the online classes, webinars, or fellowships, or whatever examinations you take, or even with the NMC, BCBR you are doing. It's of no use till the teachers are also well equipped with the knowledge of statistical tests. Now coming to this part, the next part of the this one, the statistical review, how to choose when to send a statistical review. I think when the editor, handling editor, not the chief editor or the executive editor, when the handling editor is not confident, they should go they should go through the entire manuscript once. If they feel that they are not able to understand the test, understand the stats, they should revert to the chief editor that, sir, madam, we are not able to understand the stat. It's an honest review from internal review. Rather, it's internal review. We are not able to understand the test, whether they are applicable, whether they are validated, whether appropriate, because we don't have that much in-depth knowledge. Are we going to send this for a statistical review? That's the first step. If you send that manuscript for review to any person, say I say Prasanna sir or Anil sir, you send a manuscript to them, even they will also feel that these tests, whether we know them or not, they will be able to reply to the content of the article rather than in depth for the statistical review. I think the handling editor should be the first person to identify that these tests may not be applicable to this study, or if they are applicable, I am not in a knowledge of these things. I should alert the chief editor to send it for statistical review. And I have already suggested Dr. Madhuri, Madhuri, we should have a statistician, not an institutional one, but a real one who is good in biostatistics. If the money is spent on that, it's worth spending because we are spending the money on education and academics. That is what we require in ISA or IJA. So it's a responsibility of handling editor. Chief editor don't depend upon her. She has to manage all the manuscripts, multiple manuscripts, almost you say more than 150 manuscripts per month. More than 150. It's not possible for her. She also has a family, she also has her duties, she also a clinician. So it's a handling editor because we have got so many associate editors, assistant editors. If they are assigned an article, they should know that this test, are they well aware of these tests, applicability, validity? If they are not, then they should send back the message to chief editor. Please send it for statistical review. That's simple, as simple as that.
Thank you, ma'am and sir. Uh, Sir, my next question is to Dr. Prasanna, sir. Sir, you must be receiving many articles, especially from young researchers, for reviewing. So, when you receive such new articles, especially from a newbie, how do you maintain a balance, being critical of the science while of what they have used, while remaining encouraging to those authors? And how important do you feel the tone and wording of your reviewer comments should be, sir?
Yeah, just like you told, it is the tone and the wording that is going to give the meaning. So sometimes we know the study is not good, and right out we know it may not be worth publishing. But usually, what I do, I just give some suggestions. What could have been done better? What you could have done better to make it worth publishing? So sometimes it is about the methodology, sometimes it is about the research question itself, and sometimes it's about the statistics. So just like previously it was mentioned, instead of saying the study suffers from poor methodology and the results are misinterpreted and ending it bluntly, we could give some positive suggestions what could have been done. So the same author, they can even repeat the study with a slightly altered methodology, or even they might approach the topic in a different way so that the results are relevant. So the tone language is important. So what I usually do is just imagine, so when one of your students, say for example, your favorite student, they are coming to you with a study, and you have to make them understand the mistakes. At the same time, you should not give some disparaging comments so that they get depressed. So the tone and language, I think that is the most important thing here.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Milan, Dr.
Yes,
Milan,
ma'am.
I'd
Yes,
just
ma'am.
like to add here that through the system, once the article goes for peer review, at least in IJA, we follow a blinded peer review. It's a double blinded peer review. Neither the reviewer knows who is the author, nor the author knows who is the reviewer. So we cannot make out whether the author is young or old or what. We just know author is an author. And at IJA, we strictly follow the blinded peer review system. It is not possible. Nobody will reveal to the author who was the reviewer, nor will the reviewer know who is the author. So you cannot make out whether the author is young author, budding author, old author. We don't know. But it is true that most of the times dissertations are submitted to the journal as original research articles. So we do consider them as young researchers.
Milan, shall I also say, add to what Madam
Yes, sir.
said?
Yes, sir.
What Dr. Prasanna said is very much right. Uh, when we send an article for revision, again, it's a responsibility of the handling editor. Suppose certain reviewers are there. I say you cannot match, five fingers are never equal. Somebody may be, a dean, somebody may be a head, somebody may be an associate professor. They will, everybody has some sort of ego. So maybe from here to here to here to here. But when they send the comments, sometimes they think that they are the giving the comments for the betterment of speciality. They go to any extent of language use in that, the tone, the language, the demeanor, whatever it is. But it is the responsibility of the handling editor to modify that language before the article is sent for revision. Because, see, if I'm telling you the truth, in IJ it is happening, few editors are doing these things. They just imbibe the review comments in a tablet form, review 1, review 2, review 3, then they send for revision without even reading the comments of the reviewers. So the handling editor should read all the comments. Wherever there are certain sentences which are going to hurt the dignity of the journal, the prestige of the journal, they should modify those comments according to their own wisdom. Author should not feel offended. Chief editor should not feel offended, but the revision should be in appropriate manner as per the norms of the journal. This is very, very important. So, handling editor is one of the most important referee, most important person in toning down the comments of any reviewer. That's my take.
Thank you, sir. This podcast definitely is giving an overall picture to us of how the things go about in IGA. That how there are so many people standing behind the screen who are working to do review each article at the same time handle all those comments which are coming. So we have gone through all the technicalities. We have understood how the peer reviewing process goes through. So now I want my further questions are to understand why we do what we do. That is, why do peer reviewers do what they are doing. So my next question is to Dr. Niru Sahani ma'am. Ma'am, what drives you to reviewing? Like yeah, what encourages you to review? And at the same time, do you think it's a thankless job, or what benefits do you find by peer reviewing?
So, Dr. Milan, I will never consider it a thankless job because, in my personal view, it is largely a voluntary activity. Nobody is forcing us to be the peer reviewers. And we take pride in being the reviewer of our own national journal. See, sitting back at home and reading an article published in certain issue of IJ and then thinking that this article is not up to the mark. Instead, we should, own the journal. We should do our bit at least to improve the scientific literature. If we are getting this opportunity, we should do it, and we are all doing it voluntarily. I don't think then there is any questions of we expecting any thank yous from people in the publication process. Another thing, I also do not feel that it is a thankless, or I don't even think about it because, see, my own teachers, my own mentors, they are either today they are editors, they are handling editors, they are, all my seniors and mentors are in this process. So it is not that only I am taking out my me time and doing this. So, and there are so many reviewers also. So I don't feel that, I don't feel victimized that I am taking out time from my personal time or from my clinical work and doing an extra thing. So there is no question of thinking it as a thankless job. Even if some people believe that this is thankless, it is not meaningless. It actually helps us improve our own self. By reviewing so many articles now, I feel I have myself become a better reviewer as well as a better author. It keeps you giving insight. At least we learn from mistakes of others. So it is definitely, it sharpens our own skill of critically appraising an article. It improves our performance when we are doing journal clubs in the department. Then you are able to see every nitty gritty, and then you are able to teach that to your own postgraduate. So I think it is definitely a huge learning experience in itself. And there is no we are nobody, I think, here is looking for any personal credit. But doing this process is itself a huge learning experience for all of us.
Indeed, ma'am, peer
Dr.
reviewing
Dr.
is
Milan,
yes, sir.
shall I act? I was just listening to her comments, and one thing I agreed, list, seeing all the reviewer comments, when you are a reviewer, when I was a reviewer, I, whenever used to see the comments of other reviewers, it definitely made me a better author. That this mistake I will not repeat in my writing. Whatever they have pointed out in that manuscript, I used to jot down those points. These limitations should not be in my study, in my writing. That was the one thing. Second thing, little selfish thing. When I used to review, after 3, 4 years of reviewing, then I thought, why I am reviewing so much? I'm reviewing so good, I should be editor. So that's what, another step of incentive making, that as a good reviewer, tomorrow I will be a good editor. So I think that's what the chief editors of those times saw in me, that being a good reviewer for so many years, they gave me the opportunity to be a editor. So this is another aspect which can really help you in taking the academic research publication forward. So the incentive is inside you, as Dr. Neeru said, to make you a better author. I think there is no other way in becoming a better author unless until you see the critical remarks of someone's manuscript by someone else that make you sure that these mistakes should not happen in your manuscript. You make down all those, you jot down all those limitations, and you try to improve upon your manuscript. That's the best way you can move forward. That's the best.
Indeed, sir. As you said, peer reviewing is a selfless job. It's not a thankless job, as Madam said. It brings about a better author in you, better reviewer. At the same time, it brings about the talent of being an editor in future also. So my next question is to Dr. Anil Kumar, sir.
Milan,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to add
Yes,
some of
yes, ma'am. Sure,
my
please, please.
experiences. I have heard people, some authors saying, when we ask them, like, can you review articles for our journal? So I have heard them saying, no, we don't have time to do this. We really don't have time. So some of them may be very busy clinicians, you know. There are clinicians who do a lot of interesting work and they're busy all day and they don't have time to review. If such people take up peer reviewing, then there's nothing better than that. They have a lot of knowledge, but they don't have time to put in for reviewing. So this is one problem. So our request to all these clinicians to take up reviewing, at least, you know, they need not take up full-time peer reviewing, but at least 1 or 2 articles per month. That would be very beneficial to the journal. And secondly, I have seen several authors, when we request them ki please review articles. No, we don't have time to review, you know, because it is going to affect our authorship. In the time that I will do review, I can write some articles and improve my index. So this attitude is not good, because remember that Rome was never built in a day. If you want to build up your scientific profile, you have to be an author, you have to be a reviewer, you have to be editor, you have to be everything. So, as already discussed, reviewing, authorship, editorship, they are all intertwined. You cannot just say, I will be an author, I will write articles, you sit and review. It is not like that. Every author has to do some reviewing also. Reviewer has to do some authorship also. So everything is should remember that.
Indeed, ma'am. I feel this podcast itself will drive the message. Many of the authors who are just lying at the back, by seeing this podcast, they will definitely get encouraged to into the work of peer reviewing.
Yes, and one more thing is, reviewing should not be that, you know, just it is one feather in my academic cap. Yes, I'm a reviewer for the journal. Doing quality reviews in time is very, very important. Just becoming reviewer, no, you should be a good reviewer for the journal. That is very important. So that is my message.
Indeed. My next question is to Dr. Anil Kumar, sir. Sir, your points on what drives you into peer reviewing. At the same time, I have one more question for you. Uh, Peer reviewers are like first-hand contacts to the journal, to the authors. So, do you feel that authors revere or they appreciate reviewers much more than the editors, and they feel that the reviewers do much more work than the editors? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly speaking, neither of it. Authors value reviewers for improving the science and the editors for guiding the publication process. I always believe a grad manuscript reaches publication because we reviewers strengthen it and editors provide the judgment, the direction, and ultimately the final decision. Both are indispensable partners in making the scholarly publication. If I had to answer from the author's perspective, the editors are often revered a little more because they carry the ultimate responsibility. They decide if a manuscript is sent for a review, selecting a reviewers, and they also decide if a manuscript, uh, uh, they also interpret sometimes the conflicting reviewers' comments and make the final decision. And they balance the scientific quality, the journal priorities, ethics. In many ways, they're actually the stewards of the journal. So it is not the hierarchy of importance. The author should believe that it is a partnership with different responsibilities. We editors and the editors and the reviewers will take part in making or giving a shape to the article manuscript and ultimately to the journal.
Indeed, as Madhuri Madam always says, the research work is like a baby, and the entire team takes care of it. Whenever an article is submitted, it is the entire team of IJ which takes care of it and makes sure that it comes out in a beautiful way. So my next question is to Dr. Railing. Ma'am, do you think every author should get a taste of being a reviewer in future? Like they should always uh, take up the onus of being a reviewer?
Yeah, I think Madam has put it so well, Madhuri Madam, that it is essential at some point that you have to, you have to be both. And I mean, see, we learn, like even Dr. Neeru said, we learn best, we never see our own mistakes. We learn best from other people's mistakes. It's so much easier to pick that up. So I think that is why it is important, to be on both sides of the fence at some point. And I mean, you need not be on a review board also to do it. I think a simple way to do it would be like before submitting your article, just stop. And the same article that you would probably upload, send it to a friend. You do that kind of peer review who's not involved in your study, who's not from your institute, also probably from another state, and let them, review it and let them get back to you. And believe me, if you do this, you will change at least 10 things in your article from what they tell you, the comments that they give you. So I think this is the way to probably do it and balance it.
Indeed, man, that's excellent advice to newbie author, and at the same time, they can learn to be how a reviewer works and how what is the process. Uh, my next question is to Dr. Prasanna sir. So, if you want to, there is a new reviewer and he wants to review an article. So, what would be your one piece of advice which you would give it to him so that from your experience and how to review his past manuscript?
First thing is whether somebody, a clinician, whether he's a reviewer or not, we all should know how to critically analyze a research. Any article it can be a systematic review, it can be an RCT. How to analyze or critically analyze an article and find out whether the results are applicable or not. The second thing to the most that is the most important part is to go through the article completely, starting from the introduction to the methodology. And we also should be doing a literature review or literature search on our own to find out what is the current evidence and what is the article is trying to convey. And apart from going through whether the recent references are cited in that article or not. So the most important thing is to go through the article thoroughly and to do a critical search, literature search by ourselves in the first place.
Thank you, sir. It has been indeed very healthy and insightful discussion with all you peer reviewers. We have come to the culmination of this podcast. So before we end, uh, I have I have few queries to the editorial board. So my first question is to Dr. Sukhminderjit Singh Bajwa sir. From the executive editor's perspective, what characteristics do you define as an excellent peer reviewer, and what practical advice would you give the reviewers to help editors reach faster, fairer, and more consistent editorial decisions?
You have asked the most difficult question to me, actually. You commenting about the reviewers, what reviewers should be doing for editors helping. Uh, Milan, to be very honest, I've been into the journalism for almost more than 18 years now. I entered the journal as a 36-year-old, associate professor. At that time, I was young, as Dr. Neeru, Dr. Raylan, Dr. Prasanna sir, Dr. Neil sir they said that the reviewer, the author, as Dr. Madhuri also said, intertwined. What I learned during that stage is that everything is interconnected. You cannot separate anything from each. A good author is not born, he has to be made. In whatever way, This is something entirely a different thing. This is not a cricketer, this is not a wrestling, this is not a chess player. A good author has to be made, and good author can also become a good author when he sees the good reviews, when he sees the good rejections, when he falls down on his ways. So many things are there. I may be overusing your question to answer this thing, but my priority at the moment is helping Dr. Madhuri in bringing up the IJ to a level much more ahead than what it was in 2022. That's the first and foremost. When we achieved a ranking of 16th in the world, quartile 1, and impact factor of 2.9. The basic idea is to bring a new generation actually. You can't just depend upon the older generations. Everybody has their family commitments. Everybody weans off. Slowly, everybody weans off from the reviewer board, from editorial board. You have to inculcate the reviewing habits in the younger generation. So we are focusing on the younger generation now. Every day we are adding almost 8 to 10 new reviewers. They may not be experienced because when I came to the journal, I was not experienced. I learned it from the reviews of the senior people, and whatever I imbibed in during that time, that has been a long lasting impact on my editorial capacities, reviewer capabilities, and author distinctions. So, giving a chance and opportunity to the younger reviewers is more important than anything else in this world. Only, I think, day before yesterday, the NMC came out with all the thing. Biochemistry can be the DM in endocrinology and everything. So we are working first on that. First of all, our youngsters, why should not they be eligible for cardiology, nephrology, and pulmonology? That's the first thing. Going forward, anesthesiology is a sea of science, I'm telling you. When you have already given birth to critical care, given birth to emergency medicine, to the whatever you call this one, pain medicine, so many branches are coming out and so many super specialties are coming out of anesthesia. So this is a time our reviewers should also encompass all the youngsters who have different bent of mind in different fields of anesthesia, so that the branch goes rich in developing the new breed of reviewers. That's the first and foremost priority of IJ and ISA. The question you asked again, I'm again elaborating upon that. Till our youngsters are not involved, now you saw on Jantar Mantar, whatever it is happening, the youth has to be involved everywhere. Unless until you involve the youth, journal will not grow, the specialty will not grow, the enthusiasm will not grow into editing, viewing, reviewing, or authorships. So our first aim is to be involving the youngsters, which we are doing. It's a slow and steady process. It's a step-by-step approach. Dr. Madhuri is doing a good job again. She did a good job with me during my time, and she's doing good job again. And I know by the time her tenure ends, the journal will see a global visibility in a scientific standards, not just on the basis of Facebook or a podcast or Instagram, something like that. We are a scientific journal. We are a people of scientific, fraternity. The journal should grow on those standards. So our efforts will be seen only after the end of 2 to 3 years. Dr. Madhuri is doing hard work every day and night. Why I can see her working. I also expect the same thing from the reviewer side, that how they should help her in getting the journal further, because we are not depending on the quantity, we are depending on quality actually. If you see the articles published in the last 3 4 issues, I challenge each and every reader of the country try to point out the mistakes in methodology or anywhere in the journal, in the article. I will be very happy, because that hard work is not easy to be done. His journal is not just getting some proof checking from the this publishing team. They did a language checking, edit, and everything. No, each and every line of the journal is being edited proofread, and rectified and corrected. Forget about the reviewer's role. There comes the role of the chief editor, executive editor, associate editors, whosoever are there. It's a very, very important role being played. My message to the entire country is reviewers are not just the backbones, they are the real workers of the journal. They are the real force behind the journal. Whatever work, whether selfless, thankless, or whatever quality work they're doing, it is lifting the journal. And it depends upon individual editors. Every editor will have their own set of reviewers. They will send an article to those reviewers because they depend upon their reviews, and those are honest reviews. I may be forgetting your question in entirety, but as a executive editor, my responsibility is toward the journal to help achieve its status again to a higher level in the world. I'm telling you, there are very few editors in the world who can really do hard work, taking toll on their health, family time. So many things are there. Those goes hidden actually. The glamour is there, chief editor. Dr. Madhuri is chief editor, glamour is there. But what she is sacrificing for this entire journal is July, almost 8 months now. What she is sacrificing, nobody sees that. Nobody sees that whether she skips a meal, whether she skips a movie, whether she skips an outing, whether she skips an exam taking to a different state, whether she skips a conference for that, whatever the work she is doing in the department, she is totally dedicated. I'm not talking about the past editors, all editors, but I'm talking about the present, where we are taking the journal forward. Whatever she is doing, because she has been excellent reviewer, winning the Best Reviewer Award 2016. I know that year also when she came running to me in Ludhiana and she met me there. I can recollect that those moments also that I won the Best Reviewer Award because we used to give 5 Best Reviewer Award at that time. I was associate editor in the journal at that time, so she got the Best Reviewer Award. From there, her journey never looked back. Today, she is the chief editor. That's what I said. When we are good reviewers, tomorrow the incentive is to become editor, assistant, associate, or chief editor even, or executive editor even. But the main aim is to bring the journal to such a global standards, as Dr. Prasanna said about the methodology. The rigorous work behind the methodology is very important. We do respect that, and we do reject those articles, but she is the only one to establish a author helpline after me, where we reject the articles. We tell the authors that your article has been rejected by reviewers, by editors, handling editor, but there is a way to make it more appropriate under the physiological norms, where after doing the revision you can submit to some other journal. This is the most important step because Indians are not good in English language. No state, one or leaving barring two, 3 states, no state is good in English language, if you ask me honestly. We have seen the grammatical and syntax aspects being totally distorted. So what she is doing today is exemplary. Try to, why I'm taking the reviewers, because these 4 reviewers are one of the best reviewers of the country. In their presence, they are a witness now. What she is doing a wonderful job. And this is a thankless job. It's not reviewers, it's the chief editor's thankless job. Whatever the chief editor does, she or he has to bear the brunt of the entire nation. Because when the articles are rejected, I am telling you one more important thing. We did compromise on the performance of the journal a little bit, but we are not rejecting the article within 24 hours. That's the first thing we did in this journal. We have to tell your article lacks on these things. What Dr. Prasanna said, you give them a very honest review about your article, then you reject it. At least they will come to know that this was the cause of rejection and that's why it's rejected. So overall, whatever this podcast has been, I think we have got the best of the reviewers. Their comments should be highlighted in golden letters for the entire country. There may not be the four best. There may be some more best also. We may have not have seen. Sometimes the people reject their manuscripts, but whatever they are representing the best reviewers of the country, and whatever they said in this podcast is ultimate for the betterment of the journal, for the betterment of our scientific fraternity, for the betterment of scientific progress, and in going in the future. And that's why never a reviewer's podcast has been never casted before. People say journal editor, that super hero, that superstar, whatever it is. Everybody, the superheroes are the reviewers. Without a single reviewer, I'm telling you, the journal will never progress. I'm telling you, for the last 18 years, I've been seeing the reviewers. Dr. Prasanna sir's comments I've seen over the years. He's been so meticulously in every comment. What to say? This Anil sir, he has been the Karnataka Anaesthesia Journal Chief Editor also. You know, what else he wants? Dr. Neeru, she has been associated with me so many years. I've seen her reviews, I've seen her commitment toward the different things. So these are the best reviewers chosen by the editor in chief. That's a respect, that's an honor to these four editors here. This is one podcast I will say this should be the best podcast ever of IJ in the this year and the next 2 years also. Honoring the reviewers with a podcast, taking their views, taking their reviews, nobody can match this podcast. This is not a scientific melodrama, not a dramatic movie, nor a masala movie, something. This is more of a help to the authors, to the reviewers, to the editors. I think this will go down as one of the best podcasts ever after 3 years also, Milan. And you being the one of the most liveliest anchor, I can always congratulate you for being. I rate you much above of many anchors actually. I've seen many anchors in the DJ, BJ, in the Hollywood, Bollywood, wherever, but you are the one of the best anchors who knows how to handle the things entirely over a particular point. I'm really thankful to Dr. Prasanna sir, Dr. Neil sir, Dr. Neeru, Dr. Relin. You being a part of one of the most important podcasts. It was my dream during my time as a associate editor in chief or the proxy chief editor. But now the time has come. I think we should thank Dr. Madhuri Kurdi for bringing this into the reality. The editor and reviewer should be on the same page, on the same front, and on the same panel of interview. So that's my take on this entire podcast. Don't ask me any more question, please. Thank you. Thank you
You,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for your compliments. And indeed, the reviewers and Madhuri Madam will definitely agree. The peer reviewers have been doing a tremendous job. The amount of work they do behind the screen is definitely unmentioned. And this podcast itself highlights their role, which is uncomparable. It cannot be compared to it's almost indispensable and equally important as that as of an editor. And you mentioned about the inclusivity of the younger generation and a new breed, especially to help editors to reach the common goal which you all have to bring up to bring IJ to that level that you all yearn for. So, Madhuri Madam, your thoughts on what will be the future of peer reviewing and how reviewers can contribute to continued growth and excellence and to the entire podcast itself, like your inputs to whatever Bajwa sir said right now.
Yes, Milan. So it is whatever Dr. Bajwa sir said, that is very true. And we are doing a lot of hard work on maintaining the standards of the journal and bringing it up. And Dr. Bajwa is a very good pillar of support with his vast knowledge in publications for us. And my message to all the reviewers would be to all the reviewers of IJA that one thing is please try to Send your review comments in time. Try to meet the deadlines. I know it is very difficult, but it is my sincere request to all the reviewers to please send their review comments in time. Because you must remember that there is an editor who is sitting at one end waiting for your review remarks, and there is the author at the other end who is waiting for a decision on his article. So I always tell all the authors who call me, I get repeated. Authors keep contacting through emails, through phone calls, on WhatsApp, and so many other ways they are contacting. So each article I consider as it's a baby, it's a precious child for the author. So every article, however it may be, it is very precious to the author, just like how every child is precious to his or her own parents. You should remember that. So never underestimate any manuscript which is sent to you. Give it equal importance. It is somebody's hard work, and there is an editor who has to take a decision on the manuscript, who is having faith on the reviewer. You are the right hand of the editor, the reviewer. So do not put the editor or the author down. Try to send your reviews in time. If you cannot send, you can give the message that I'm having this problem and I will be back with my comments very shortly. Secondly, try to give quality reviews. Much has been already discussed on this. Give reviews in such a way that you can help the author on one side, and on the other side, you can guide the editor to take a proper decision. Just dilly-dallying here and there, being diplomatic, giving diplomatic remarks as a reviewer, neither here nor there, is not correct. Thirdly, there is one very important thing which is now troubling us, that is the use of artificial intelligence generated peer reviews, which have which are now very common. I think we will have a separate podcast on AI in authorship and peer review and all. So we won't touch upon that much now. But AI generated reviews are best not wanted at this stage because they lack the real insights. There is something called as hallucinations and false language which is used in these reviews, the generic language, and there are ethical concerns also when you upload somebody's manuscript to get an AI generated review. The information leaks out into the scientific world. So we really don't have a right to do all these things. So my request to all the reviewers of IJA, how much ever you're tempted to use AI, try not to use it. Even if your grammar is not good, it is okay. But you give your review comments in simple scientific language. That is more than enough. So that would be my message to all the reviewers and to all the reviewers of IJA. And though we have called for good reviewers here today, we have many reviewers of IJ who are doing excellent work for us. And on behalf of the journal, I express my heartfelt gratitude to all of them. And it is not possible to have all of them in one podium. And we will invite you all again. So I think with that, we can end this podcast.
Let Dr. Neil want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
The last word to continue with what Dr. Madhur was telling. I was also a part of an editorial team of other journals, and I handled the Karnataka Journal. One last sentence for editors is, we should always respect, one of the ethical aspects is respect editorialship independence. We are here to provide an evidence-based recommendation, but we should recognize that the final decision always rests with an editor. Because editor, how much tension they goes through, repeatedly calling why this is rejected. And many times even reviewers have rejected that, but you accepted it. Because there are 5-6 reviewers, she need to take a decision on that. This is one of the common stress apart from all these scientific issues the editorial team faces. So this is a last point I wanted to add, which is the most vital to decrease the stress onto the editorial team. Thank you.
Any other peer reviewer who would like to speak? A final word.
Dr. Prasanna sir, I want to hear from some last word from your side also. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, yes, sir. Actually, this was a request which I made to Dr. Balabhaskar when he was the editor. Actually, if you can provide access to certain journals, because the authors are quoting a study from a journal which is behind a paywall. So we are not able to read that article. We are having that because we have to pay a lot of money and we are not able to do that. If it is possible for the ISA to at least to make a way to help us to access those articles, that will definitely, I think that will help in the review process. That's
Yeah,
my
that's a
suggestion.
good point. I think, Dr. Madhuri, we will write to these publishers at least when certain articles comes, should have, because they are now they are in Ovid also. Okay, they have access to, because Ovid SP is with me also, with me a journal, everything is with me. In my institution, I can access any article in the world. So with Ovid SP, these water clovers, they can access any article in the world. I think we should go for that also. That's a good suggestion. So that every reviewer can have, rather than going through some paid channels or not able to review properly, we should provide them.
Yes, sir. We will write to the publishers
Yeah,
so that they can provide access.
definitely.
Okay.
Dr. Neeru and Dr. Ellen, your points also, last point before we leave.
I would just re-emphasize what Dr. Prasanna has been telling along, that a study is only as strong as its methodology. So I think when they are writing their protocols or planning a study, that time itself they should involve some senior people and get it right. Because
The problem
collecting
with the
data
senior
and
people
then,
only. The problem with the senior people only. They
yes.
are describing the methodology actually. You know, that's the problem, Neeru. So you have to tell, please, you modify your sentence. Tell at least we should be educating the senior people.
So basically, if methodology is wrong, the whole hard work of data collection, everything else is like, because then it is not, we can revise results for them, we can help them do revision and statistical analysis. But when methodology is incorrect, some points are unethical or not looked into. The manuscript is gone.
Almost completely. Agree, 100%. Not really.
Sir, I am amazed at our editors. Actually, I think all of y'all are better than AI. I don't know how y'all can read our minds, how y'all, so nicely y'all scale us up and y'all understand, that back and forth thing is there, and y'all know exactly when to give us what, and how we can now take on this and we can now take on something more. It's really, I mean, I'm really very amazed at this entire journey in reviewing, how right from starting from when I started off, very basic things were given, and now, slowly more and more responsibility and better stuff is being given. So I'm very grateful to our editorial team for that. Like I said, better than AI. Even AI will not be able to interpret it so well, read you so well, the way you all read us.
So I can just sum it up. AI is for the average people, and editorial board is for the genius, and reviewers are for the genius people. So that's all we can say. See, I'm telling you one thing very honestly. I've seen the journey of IJ over the last 18 years. I'm really impressed by the commitments of our reviewers and editors, whosoever been the chief editor, the associate, assistant, and the reviewers. I've seen the journey like anything. But what we have come today is we are facing many challenges, the AI, the other things. These challenges are transient only. They will be overcome. And by the time we overcome them, things will be more important, whatever will be coming out. What I, along with Dr. Madhuri's consent, I can say at this moment is next April, May, we have a target of at least bringing the journal to the first 20 rank again, quartile 1, and as well as the impact factor above 2.5. That is very, very important. We are aiming for that. We are not going for the Medline indexing. And most importantly, we are 52,000 plus member society. You know what is happening really? Every medical college, as per NMC norms, require two publication from AP to associate, from associate to professor, another two publication during that duration. Overall, four publication in the gap of almost, you can say, 7 years. Among 52,000 people, almost 26,000 are in the medical colleges or associated medical colleges. Does our IJ is sufficient for them? No. They have to go to the predatory journals, paying huge sum of money, getting a faster publication, a low quality research, a fabricated research. So many things are happening at the same time. So I thank Dr. Madhuri to start when she started the supplements again. Supplements are nothing, just extra addition to the journal's copy, but all articles are indexed in the PubMed. So we have already came out with the Northern. Central is almost going to come out within a day or two. Dr. Madhuri will be able to tell more precisely. Then Southern supplement is going to be there, Eastern and Northeastern, and then the what you call Western supplement. At least we will give opportunity to our own society people. The ISA and IJ, they are part of the same thing. We have to give them opportunity without compromising the quality of the articles. It's not that supplements are publishing the low quality article. The articles will be same quality, but it's just like increasing the number of the journal. There is no way of because if we increase from 12 to 24, the cost will increase 3 times. But we just add the supplements, the cost will increase just 0.5 times. That's what we are doing. Supplement is we are seeing the ergonomics also, economics also, and the quality also to be maintained. So we are coming to supplements so that every person in the country, every zonal person, because 6 authors are there, 3 will get the benefit. So all these things are being done again, not just going for the scientific superiority of the journal, but helping the society and the members as well. And here comes the role of the reviewers in maintaining the quality of the supplement articles also. That's why this podcast was there. The aim was to have a uniformity in reviewing. When this podcast will be live telecast or recorded, will be sent to the people, they will see what reviewers are really doing selflessly in the country. This is more important than this thing. And definitely, we are not just see, editor is the most thankless job than the reviewers actually, because editor is always in the highlights. Chief editor I'm talking about. So you can very well see the stress, the responsibility, the accountability on the chief editor. But I think we should all support the chief editor in this context, in this desire, this aspect, so that we progress together for the future, for the publications, for the contentment, for the well-wishing of the IJ also. It will definitely touch the new heights. I am very much confident about, because myself and Dr. Madhuri have worked as a team in the last stint also, 6, 7 years back also. Now again we are together, but we are more happy that the people like you are there, still there, with more vigorous and with more enthusiastic reviews and with more honest reviews rather. I'm telling you. So this is the fact, and IJ has got a very good future. And we have got very good people like Milon, who are in the center stage of holding this type of podcast. Milon, I'm telling you, we have to highlight these things every podcast. We are not going to market it, but we are going to give the readers, authors, everyone a sincere outlook of the journal. That's what Dr. Madhuri wants during her tenure. Okay. So I'm really thankful to you all for you. And final comments from Dr. Madhuri before we end this podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bajwa sir, for all the motivating words. And I think we will do it with all our hard and smart work. And thank you to all the peer reviewers who have come, who have spent all their time and come here today for the recording of the podcast. And thank you, Milan, for for having planned everything and done everything meticulously. Thank you, everybody, once again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
So,
ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
good
you, ma'am.
night.
Thank you, sir.
Long live IJ, long live ISA.
Long
Bye-bye.
live Ajay, long live ICA.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you to all our panelists for sharing their valuable insights and experiences. And thank you to our listeners for joining us today. Stay connected with the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia for more educational podcasts, reviewer development initiatives, and discussions on topics that shape anesthesia research and practice. Until next time, thank you for listening and happy reviewing.